All right, so with our lovely Miss W, ready cutie? So we were gonna warm up with just a couple little find its, get her up and wiggling. I did want to implement, I have my scratch board. I don't believe any of them have ever done it before. So a scratch board is, it can be something you can repurpose. So like you might have an old cutting board, or you might have some plywood or some random pieces of wood available. I've seen some folks make these where they have PVC piping. Oh my goodness, chew them, ma'am. It was the goldfish cracker, I think, got stuck halfway. You good? Um, Good sitting. So, for example, the scratch boards can be made out of many different varieties of items to put sandpaper onto. So for some babes, clipping with either clippers or the Dremel can be a little bit overwhelming. Others too, they do really well with a scratch board because it's dog sort of worked. So what I mean by that is the dog has the choice to scratch or not to scratch. So because then there is more autonomy for a lot of dogs that have had trauma around grooming or handling or toenails, this can give them a feeling of control, which makes them feel less scared. So when starting with a scratch board, there are some that are flat, there are some that are curved, there are some that I was mentioning a little bit earlier before we choked on our goldfish cracker, that, for example, some folks have done it with a PVC pipe and then they cut it in half and then it's like a curved like U shape. And then if you're handsy, you can then use some sandpaper with double-sided sticky tape, or some sandpaper does have a sticky side. I almost prefer the one without the stick. Oh, she didn't see that one. I prefer the one without the sticky part because if you end up getting it on there, it's really hard to take it off again. And I have found that with mine, the purple is the newer sandpaper, which probably has to get replaced, and the black underneath is the one that came with the scratch board, but I had a really hard time trying to peel it off, so most of it is still stuck on the board. So there's different varieties. There are some that also have a compartment with a sliding or an opening sort of section, and there's sandpaper on the whole thing. So as the puppy is then trying to get to the snack in the middle, good job, ma'am, then what ends up happening is then as they're scratching to get to the snacks stuck in the compartment, they're then scratching their toenails and sort of wearing them down smoothly. And then that way, then you get them to have the snack within the board. So you can then have them scratch and then be reinforced from the board for the scratching. Ready? Find it. So with our gorgeous gal, she is a bit messy, and I'm sorry. When they were playing earlier, one of the puppies must be losing a baby tooth. And I think Mr. B's singing a little song right now because he's like, I would rather wrestle some more. So I'm just doing some finance as I'm blabbing just to keep her busy. So, but let's say, for example, they were doing some wrestling and one of the baby teeth was coming out. She's a little bit messy because, of course, she's the lightest babe in the group. So the little blood, I did try wiping it, but it didn't quite come off as well as I was hoping. So no injuries, just baby teeth coming out. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to go ahead and do another little find it just to get her up and wiggling. So this is the scratch board just to show you. Mine, for example, does have this ability almost like a easel to poke up and down and come in different angles. So you could make it a little bit steeper or a little bit less steep. And as I mentioned earlier, this one I just got on Amazon. You can find them wherever. You could make one. So this one, for example, you'll see that I have the purple sandpaper, and this was the original sandpaper that is not so good, but I couldn't get it off because it was stuck to the board. So I just used double-sided sticky tape, like I mentioned earlier, and stuck it at the top. So when I'm done with this one, which has maybe seen better days, I can just pull this off and then apply my next piece of sandpaper. So when first starting this exercise, though, I like to start it off with it flat. And you can, for example, do this flat so it's not as maybe spooky if they've never done it. And I like to almost do it almost like a pause up or a step up right there. Yes, smart girl. So anytime my puppy places a foot or targets it or does anything near the board, I want to feed for that. So in the beginning, I might also send her away with a find it so we can reboot her and then see if we can again get her to put her feet nice on the target, be it 1 foot or 2. And I just want her to build up that going to the target has a really great value for her. So right here, yes, very nice. So she's got both toesies on it. You will eventually, like with my guy, I call it scratch. You can come up with a slogan that makes sense for you guys. excuse me, I should not be drinking seltzer. Ready? So, but I might use my hand to have her target it right there. Yes, I'm just ripping up those little triangle shaped snacks that she has into smaller tidbits. And sometimes they rip real nice, and sometimes my fingers don't seem to want to work. So I am trying to at times lure her. Oh, there we go. We got one little toast. Beautiful. Onto the bowl. I'm sorry, the scratch board. Nice. So a little find it to reboot. So then what I like to do, as opposed to going right there, yes, into making it too high or too much of an angle, I like to start off, these crackers are stuck. Ready? Find it. I like to start it off on my feet. For some of the bigger dogs, this may not feel as comfortable, so you may want to do this on to a different household item, like maybe there's something you can prop it on, or get one that has the availability to have that little lifting part in the, almost like an easel like mine does. But you can also then physically hold it, which could be another option, but it depends on how big your baby might be. So we might go ready. I'm going to see if I can get her to do her little step up or pause up on the bowl, or technically this time my brain is not working, the lovely scratch board. Yes. So I'm just making it seem fun to target body onto the board. Nice job. And I'll do another little find it. So as she's doing well there, I might up it a little bit more. I'm going to hold it so it's not unstable and spooky. I might even take my food and try to lure her to take a little step. She's like, my brain has melted slightly. So if this becomes a little bit more challenge, chew them, ma'am. Chewing is optional. Oh my goodness. You good? All right, get it out first. Okay, better. Chewing is something they're all working on. So let's say again, we're gonna try right there, yes. So right now I'm just having her put a foot onto it. It does not have to be, for example, nice right there, a scratching moment. If you're finding she's doing a little bit better, I then eventually take the food, and remember how I mentioned one of them may have like a compartment to hide the food in? You can actually sometimes put your food and hide it behind the scratch board and see if the puppy goes to paw it. If that's a little bit too hard, you can also take your hand so you can see, and I have it cupped. So then what I'm hoping she'll eventually do is she really wants it, she might paw at the hand to try to get you to open it. So even that little lift that of course I missed because I was blabbing, is you'd want to feed for any of those little inklings of about to slap or scratch the board. If she ever gets a little bit too flustered, remember this is her first session. It took one of my boys like 2 or 3 good tries to kind of work it throughout the week before I was able to kind of lift it and get some scratching. So we might again go back to the easier version. Remember to lower the criteria if the puppy's not doing as well as you were hoping in the very beginning. Nice. So right here, I'm going to send her away. So, but eventually this turns into one of those situations where you may, again for her, maybe I'll try it this way, so it's a little bit easier. And then we can try it with it raised. So I'm going to try again to put the food here and see if I can get her. She's like, I will just, she's so agile. She's like, I'm just going to slip right past it, right there, yes. So her little foot is on the side. Oh my gosh, chewing. Awkward woman, right there, yes. So I know right now it's a little bit of like, not the prettiest dance move, but we're just trying to get her to think that there's some value in trying something novel. And maybe set it up a little bit more like this at an angle. Ready? So we're gonna try and put it behind the board. She's like, lady, I'm starving. You have to come, oh my gosh, you gotta chew them, ma'am. So maybe I'll put it here. So just less of the chewing of the snacks happening right now. You got it? Ready? She's like, my brain has melted. She's like, what would you like from me? So I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit with those toesies. So maybe what I'll do is she's a little bit, oh my gosh, the chewing. So I'm gonna stand on it so it doesn't wiggle, but I'm gonna try a little bit from the side here and see if we can get her to do a little bit with the paws. Maybe I'll lower the angle again. Ready? Oh, there's the train going by. That's a bit weird. So close. So ready? So if there's moments again where your babe gets really unsure, she has never really done this before. And it, like I mentioned earlier, one of my boys took even more than just 3 sessions. So remember that everybody's babe is going to be a little different with their tenacity or their willingness to try something novel that seems a bit hard. For her, even starting off with putting the feet on and working up to the scratching moment could be another great venue. Ready? This is so much harder than she was hoping. You can see her little wheels turning. So if she's a little bit unsure, we're going to go back into an easier skill like a sit. I don't want to have her be hanging for so long that she's like giving up and like getting really flustered and walking away. So giving her little rest periods where she goes and eventually does little, if she does find it, ready? Find it. Giving her little breaks to kind of come in and out of the space can be good. We're going to try again with it being flat and try maybe once more to get her to do a little pause up or step up on the bowl. Ready? She's like, my brain is melted, lady. She's pooped out. Working all these big girl skills is hard. Ready? Pause up. Sorry about my nose. The allergies have been really fun so far. You're just so tired. She's like, you'd like a sitting instead. So you may have moments where you're trying something new with her, be it the scratch board. You may find maybe she gravitates to a different shape better. So some of the puppies do better with the one that has the compartment hidden in the middle. And I've had some students with some of their smaller dogs take an old shoebox, put the sandpaper right on top, show the puppy the snacks, put them in the box like one or two at a time, close it, and then as the dog is trying to scratch to get the box open, they then open it up and they get the morsel. So it could be one of those things where you may just have to try and tweak a few times and see which method might make sense to her and to you guys. Ready? So right there, yes. We're gonna feed for that little foot on there. Ready? She's like right there, yes. So this is again a little bit easier for her. So don't worry if sometimes you have to lower the criteria, start at a different starting point and build from there. Oh my goodness, chew them. Also chewing is just so hard today for everybody. My goodness, ready? Find it. So, but to give her a chance to restart the exercise, don't forget about that movement with the find it's to get her up and wiggling. Nice, so we're gonna try, yes, both toesies. Good job. Oh, she says it wiggled, and that was my bad not holding it better, but she's like, I don't mind. She's a very resilient woman. She says the funny noises were not such a big deal. So, but for some puppies, that could be a little too spooky, so you may have to just gauge it. Yes, look at you being a brilliant woman. So, but you may find for her short and sweet little moments, little successes, and go from there. Ready? She's like, I'm so tired. Maybe we'll do another little find it. So, but for scratch board options, remember there are these flat options. There's a curved board that almost looks like an M. So the point to that one is that you're able to get some of the dog's side toenails, because I feel like with the flat ones, if you're not coming at different angles, you're mostly getting the two middle toes and not the two outer toes. There are some great video resources too on teaching your pup, I've seen, to do the back end as well. So, which seems a little bit more challenging. That would be something to build up to. I'd say for starters, potentially including a scratch board, and there's again different varieties, or you could make one, and that might be something to give a try to for any of the beauties. So one of my boys really prefers the scratch board, and that's what we use for him. And his back toes are actually thankfully pretty nice. They're short. But otherwise, I would also be working with him on how to teach him how to do his hind end eventually too. Nice job, cutie. But we'll give her a little breather. She did try her darndest with the scratch board of weirdness. But remember, whenever starting some new exercise, it more than likely won't be perfection the very first time because she's never tried it. So, but very nice work for the first time with the weird scratch board, ma'am. So we'll give Miss W a little breather. We'll do a little find it, and then we'll rotate through some more skills in just a second. But very nice job for her. Good job, ma'am.